Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jeff J. Brown in a beautiful Chinese New Year Fire Rooster 2017, Shenzhen, China, for another wonderful, I hope for you, podcast. This one's going to be very short. It's called On Beijing by Jeff J. Brown, a resident for 13 years since 1990. And the genesis of this article is editor's note. Andrei Vlecek asked Jeff J. Brown to write down his thoughts on the city of Beijing for an article he is writing. Here is what Jeff came up with. Peking Man first came to this city's landscape about 500,000 years ago. Beijing was founded as a city over 1,000 years before Jesus Christ lived and has never looked back, making it one of the oldest continuously inhabited and extant cities in human history. Today, few people acknowledge that the post-1949 Beijing is the world's most influential geopolitical metropolis, and since 1976, humanity's most important economic and financial policy center. Mao Zedong's choice of Beijing as new China's national capital was an astute one, given its unrivaled millennial, imperial, republican, and revolutionary history. It was here where the chairman proved to those who understand how the world works that it is really Red Beijing determining current events, not the capitals of Eurangloland. As examples, Taiwan, Korea, Southeast Asia, India, Japan, the Cold War, the Soviet Union's 1970s to 1980s isolation on the world stage, and global anti-capitalist revolution, all this while transforming the People's Republic from a prostituted Western and Japanese colony into a mighty industrial and agricultural juggernaut, entirely free and independent of the Washington, London, Paris diktat. To this day, the West's owners still cannot accept that they do not control 1/5 of the world's population and its bountiful natural and human resources, a people who are proudly living in a communist country the size of the United States and Canada. Beijing is one of the world's greatest repositories of ancient history and modern humanities, showing off hundreds of world-class museums, galleries, parks, temples, squares, shrines, monuments, mountains, lakes, and rivers, all within a 1-hour drive of the city center. You don't need a car anyway. Beijing has the world's largest metro system, 1,000 plus public bus routes, and 66,000 licensed taxis to get you to all these myriad sites. Since 1949, metropolitan Beijing has planted over 500 million trees, shrubs, and flowering bushes, as well as millions of square kilometers of green belts along the fringes of the nearby Gobi Desert to stop its southern advance and to reduce dust levels blowing in from the north. By 2050, Beijing will have planted 100 billion trees to its north, covering more than 10% of the country's landmass. This greenification program continues with a passion and a love for nature. Beijing has identified and coddles, like rock stars, 40,000 urban trees that are over 100 years old, some dating back more than 1,000 years. Contrary to ceaseless propaganda in the West, Beijing and all of China's cities have shown non-stop improvement in air quality, and Beijing is spending billions to keep bettering its environment. This has been going on since the 1990s, something I can personally attest to. Tetovo, Cairo, Kathmandu, Accra, Manila, Delhi, Beirut, Ulaanbaatar, Baku, Dhaka, and Sao Paulo, among others, all had higher 2016 pollution indexes than China's capital. But only Beijing gets the mainstream media black eye. Why? Because Beijing is the heart and soul of the Communist Party of China, the CPC, and thus is not a NATO doormat, which is an intolerable affront to Western capitalists. In spite of continual colonial conceit and denial in the West, it is Beijing, with its 23 million citizens and their fantastically visionary and well-run national government, that quietly, efficiently, and humbly sits at the top of world influence. Baba Beijing, Chinese leadership, is investing trillions in win-win development projects across planet Earth and in total disregard of ideological hostility from the West. Baba Beijing relishes continuing the revolution against Uranglo Land's incessant subterfuge to destroy the CPC. The West compulsively keeps trying, hoping to cripple and humiliate the Chinese. The West wants to break their collective spirit, taking China back to its pre-liberation imperial nightmare of being a drug-addicted, balkanized, occupied, continent-sized Honduras or Chad. No matter, Baba Beijing loves leading the global good fight. This millennial city and the 1.4 billion Chinese citizens it represents will never bow down. They have a better, nobler dream for all of humanity: black, white, brown, red and yellow, north and south, east and west. Thanks to Beijing, we can truly be hopeful for a more just, equitable, and peaceful 21st century. Thank you and goodbye.